In the last battle, which is the last of C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia, we hear the story of the last war of Narnia, leading to the end of the old world of Narnia and the advent of the new world, a new adventure in Aslan's real country. The real country is beautiful. It's where Lord Tyrion encounters all of his friends, familiar faces. There's Diggory and Peter and Edmund and Lucy and Susan and King Caspian. And together what happens is that they witness the end of the old world of Narnia as Aslan directs all the stars down from the sky. There's no more sun and no more moon. At the door of the stable to this real country, the faithful followers of Aslan watch as evil disappears forever and goodness lives on in Aslan's eternal country. Through the door they travel further up and further in to the true eternal world. Call it heaven, call it the new heaven and the new earth, whatever we call it. It is the promise of all who follow Jesus, further up and further in.
Then they all went forward together, always westward, for that seemed to be the direction Aslan had meant when they cried out. Further up and further in. Many creatures were slowly moving the same way, but that grassy country was very wide and there was no crowding. It still seemed to be early, and the morning freshness was in the air. They kept on stopping to look around and to look behind them, partly because it was so beautiful, but also partly because there was something about it which they could not understand. Peter said, "Lucy, what is this, do you suppose?" "I don't know," said the High King. "It reminds me of somewhere, but I can't give it a name. Could it be somewhere we once stayed for a holiday when we were very, very small?" "It would have been a jolly good holiday," said Eustace. "I bet there isn't a country like this anywhere in the world. Look at the colors. You couldn't get a blue like the blue on those mountains in our world." "Look," cried Edmund. "There's Mount Pyre with its forked head, and there's the pass into the Arkland and everything." "And yet there's none alike," said Lucy. "They're different. They have more colors on them, and they look further away than I remember. More and more, oh, I don't know, more like the real thing," said Lord Diggory softly.
Listen, Peter, said the Lord Diggory. When Aslan said you can never go back to Narnia, he meant the Narnia you were thinking of. But that was not the real Narnia. That has a beginning and an end. It is only a shadow or a copy of the real Narnia, which has always been here and always will be here, just as our own world is only a shadow or a copy of something in Aslan's real world. You need not mourn over Narnia, Lucy. All of the old Narnia that mattered, all the dear creatures have been drawn into the real Narnia through the door. And of course it is different as a real thing is from a shadow or as a waking life is from a dream. His voice stirred everyone like a trumpet as he spoke these words. The older ones laughed. Lord Diggory knew why they were laughing and joined in the laugh himself. But very quickly, they all became very grave again, for as you know, there is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It is too good to waste on jokes. It is as hard to explain how the sunlit land was different from the old Narnia as it would be to tell you how the fruits of that country taste. Perhaps you will get some idea of it if you think of it like this. You may have been in a room in which there was a window that looked out on a lovely bay of sea or green valley that wound away around among mountains. And in that wall of the room opposite to the window, there may have been a looking glass. And as you turned away from the window, you suddenly caught sight of that sea or that valley all over again in the looking glass. And the sea in the mirror, or the valley in the mirror, were in one sense just the same as the real ones, yet at the same time they were somehow different, deeper, more wonderful, more like place in a story you have never heard but very much want to know. The difference between the old Narnia and the new Narnia was like that. The new one was a deeper country. Every rock and flower and blade of grass looked as if it meant more. The unicorn summed up what everyone was feeling. I have come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I have been looking for all my life, though I never knew it till now. The reason we loved in the old Narnia is that sometimes it looked like this. Come further up. Come further in.
Everyone began to run. The air flew in their faces as if they were driving fast in a car without a windscreen. Faster and faster they raced, but no one got hot or tired or out of breath. They ran till it was more like flying than running, and even the eagle overhead was going no faster than they. And they went through the winding valley after winding valley and up the steep sides of hills and faster than ever down the other side, following the river and sometimes crossing it and skimming across mountain lakes as if they were living speedboats, till at last, at the far end of one long lake, which looked as blue as turquoise, they saw a smooth green hill. Round the very top ran a green wall, but above the wall, rows and branches of trees whose leaves looked like silver and their fruit like gold. Lucy looked hard at the garden and saw that it was not really a garden, but a whole world, with its own rivers and woods and sea and mountains. But they were not strange. She knew them all. "I see," she said. "This is still Narnia, and more real and more beautiful than the Narnia down below." Suddenly, they shifted their eyes to another spot, and then Peter and Edmund and Lucy gasped with amazement and shouted out and began waving, for they saw their own father and mother waving at them across the great deep valley. Soon they found themselves all walking together, and a great bright procession it was, up toward mountains higher than you could see in this world, even if they were there to be seen. And Lucy forgot everything else, because Aslan himself was coming, leaping down from cliff to cliff like a living cataract of power and beauty. And he no longer looked to them like a lion, but the things that had began to happen after that were so great and beautiful that I cannot write them. And for us, this is the end of all the stories, and we can most truly say that they all lived happily ever after. But for them, it was only the beginning of the real story. All their life in this world and all their adventures in Narnia had been only the cover and the title page. Now, at last, they were beginning chapter 1 of the great story, which no one on earth has ever read, which goes on forever, in which every chapter is better than the one before.
Hope is a funny word.